The Race and Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.
Coney versus Q-Card. I repeat, Coney versus Q-Card. It does not get much better than that. Welcome along to the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I am joined by an esteemed and august panel that comprises Paul Keeley and David Jennings of the Racing Post, and from Paddy Power, the man with the odds and hopefully the winners, Frank Hickey. So like I say, we've got a race to savour up at Haydock. One of three really good races there. There's also some fantastic stuff going on at Ascot. And we will look ahead to a great Sunday card at Punchestown as well. So the best bets coming up from all around Britain and Ireland right through the weekend. But we will start with that mouth-watering clash. It's the Betfair Chase at 3 o'clock at Haydock. Don't forget, if you win this, you win the King George and you win the Cheltenham Gold Cup. You win £1 million bonus as well. Whether or not any horse goes on to take that remains to be seen, but certainly we have two of the best loved and most successful steeplechasers Britain has produced in ages. There's also Charlie Hall winner, Irish Cavalier, and various other great horses, including Silviniaco Conti, who I think Paul Keeley might be giving a bit of an up to. So we'll find out who the lads fancy, but first of all, how do Paddy Power bet? Frank Hickey.
We're 13-8 Q-Card, 2-1 Coney Gree, 13-2 See You at Midnight, 13-2 Silviano Conti, 10-1 Irish Cavalier and 25-1 Bar. And just out of interest, Bruce, we're 25-1 both Q-Card or Coney Gree to win the Triple Crown.
Okay, well, we'll come on to that as a byproduct of it. But Kills, first, are you excited about this one?
Oh God, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this is this is the best chase run in Britain, certainly outside of the King George, isn't it? We have no idea what's going to happen with Coney Gree. I mean, he could come back and be as good, if not better than ever. He's 9-year-old pushing 10, but he's only won once in the last 18, 19 months. And it's total guesswork, isn't it?
Well, I suppose so, yeah.
I mean, look, he's always gone well fresh. I mean, he's won 9 of his 11 starts, hasn't he? But, the official handicap gave him a mark of 172 after winning the Gold Cup. You've got to remember that Q-Card is 176, and Conti has been 177, so he has been the best horse in the race back in the past. So, it's fascinating. He'd be far from a good thing, even on his Gold Cup winning form.
Okay, so where does that take us in terms of tips? First of all, who's going to win out of Q-Card and Coney Gree? And then, does the race revolve around them, or is there something else that can come in?
I would favour Q-Card over the two. I don't think his run was that bad at Wetherby last time. They're adamant that the ground was really fast, and he didn't like it. And
are you having that thing about sending him on a bit too early and making too much use of him?
I'm not 100% sure about that. I mean, he made most of the running when he won the Ryanair, didn't he? So I don't think that's an issue. I just think it was the ground. But if you look at the figures on Racing Post ratings, he ran the same race as when he won the Charlie Hall the year before, and then he came on an absolute ton for it on softer ground at Haydock, and it is really, really boggy. Judging by
we
that
just watched the first race there.
So it's going to be really deep. So I would favour Q-Card just because he's had a run, and I'm not that worried about the Wetherby run.
Who are you backing?
But I backed each way. Now you can't bet each way anymore because there's only 7 runners.
No, by the way, everyone always sneers when or sort of makes all sorts of wailing and gnashing of teeth when we go from 16 to 15. There's 7 runners. All the big races.
Yeah, seven
runners
is awful. I backed Conti each way. I mean, Paul Nicholls at the start of the season said he's happier with him now than he was all last season, and I just liked the way he ran it down Royal last time. I thought he ran with a lot of zest and jumped with enthusiasm. I don't think we saw that from him last year, particularly first time out last year when he ran over hurdles at Kempton and got beat by brother Ted. And he went off 5-4 favourite for this race last year after that particularly poor effort. And I think he's a better horse now than he was last year. Whether he's quite good enough, I don't know, but I thought he was a big enough price. And he should certainly be considerably shorter than See You at Midnight.
Okay, so your midweek hustling and rooting out the best prices brought in Silviniaco each way. But what would you do now if you're opening a fresh position?
If I was opening a fresh position, I would have a small win bet on Conti. Because I couldn't bet the others. I don't bet at that sort of short price anyway. So,
David Jennings, what are you going to do as far as betting goes on this thrilling encounter?
Yeah, I can see where Paul is coming from with earlier on in the week with Silviniaco each way. I think he'll finish second or third, but To be honest, Bruce, I think this is fairly straightforward. I think Q-Card wins. I think a track like Haydock, even if there is plenty of cut in the ground, a kind of a sharp track like Haydock, I think he has far more natural speed than Cooney Gray. I don't think Cooney Gray will be able to get him out of his comfort zone. I thought the run at Wetherby was fine. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I just can't see how Silviniaco Conti is going to win the race, because while he ran well at Down Royal, Valserlido hammered him, and I think Q-Card is a better horse than Valserlido, so he will need to come on a ton. I don't think Q-Card has disimproved that much. I thought earlier on in the week that 7-4 was a great price. I still think 13-8 is a great price. I think this is one of these situations where it's just pretty simple. Q-Card is the best horse in the race, and he'll probably win.
Did you just invent a new word? What's that? Disimproved?
The word I was looking for there was regress.
Well done, Frank. Excellent. But no, I like disimproved.
Disimproved, yeah, it's quite a good one, isn't it?
Can we have disregress if they're on the upgrade as well? Can I just say this, right? Q-Card 13-8, Irish Cavalier 10s, Monora 25s, and at Wetherby, both those vastly bigger price horses for tomorrow finished in front of Q-Card. I mean, yes, we expect Q-Card to come on for the run, but isn't there a huge assumption going on here, Achilles, about
they
this?
both hate really bad ground, though, don't they? And, Manora will be all over the place on that sort of ground. I think so will Irish Cavalier.
All right, fair enough. Frank, what's your big race verdict?
I have a pretty strong opinion here. I think Coney Gray is going to go out in front, jump like a buck, and burn them off one by one. He's going to be really sharp for the King George come about 3:10 on Saturday. My reasoning for it is Q-Card, while a lot of people would have said it was a grand comeback, he was giving £4 to Irish Cavalier, running off the same weight as Manor, beaten 3 1/4 lengths. I didn't think Irish Cavalier needed to improve to win that, considering Q-Card ran below form. And I had Q-Card running to maybe 155 that day. Now, last year on time form ratings, he improved £11 from Wetherby to Haydock. And even allowing for that, he's going to run to about 165 on Saturday, which might be good enough. But I think Coney Gray, if he comes back to anywhere near his best, it's going to be bloody difficult to beat.
I like that. Now then, there's one horse we haven't mentioned at all, which is a scandal considering how well he ran at Carlisle. Does anyone want to put up a positive or a negative word for See You at Midnight?
Well, I say See You at Midnight. It was quite impressive, but he was running against a horse who likes to make the running, and I just don't think was fit and ran badly first time last year in Bristol de Mai. Now, See You at Midnight has been backed all the way down to 13-2. I could understand the each way cases at 16s earlier in the week, but in a handicap, he'd be getting £22 from Q-Card. That's a hell of a lot.
I suppose when the match bets come up then, Kills, given Paddy Power same price, See You at Midnight and Silviniaco, would you be keen to back Silviniaco in a match bet?
I'd be all over Conti, definitely.
Would you?
Yeah.
Just one thing, Bruce, on the whole Cooney Gray Q-Card thing. I interviewed Ruby Walsh for RP Sunday a few weeks ago, and the one thing he did say, he rode Jack Adam obviously in both Gold Cups. He thought the Cooney Gray Gold Cup was a far, far better race, rode like a better race than last year's one, and he felt that Cooney Gray was obviously going, that little bit quicker, and he thought that performance by Cooney Gray that year was better than obviously Don Cossack last year. So he rode in both Gold Cups, and he thought that rode like a better Gold Cup. So I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much, chaps. 225. It's the old fixed brush. Oh, hang on a sec. Well, first of all, we've got to remember there's a great offer on this week, isn't there, Frank, with Q-Card? If you do fancy it, you can, and you're a new account holder to Paddy Power, I believe there's a bit of value floating around, isn't there?
We do. If you're a new customer looking to open an account, if you open up through the Racing Post app, we'll give you 80 quid in free bets for a tenner if Q-Card wins the Betfair Chase.
Nice. That's not to be sneezed at. And if you want details of that, go on to Racing Post and click on the free bets page. Okay, 225, the Betfair Exchange fixed brush handicap hurdle. This is tough, isn't it, Kills?
Yeah, really, really tough.
Should we get a show first? Let's get a show from Frank Hickey.
Yeah, we're 4-1, 2 Taffs, 7-1, you know what I mean, Harry. 7-1 also K de Burley, 15-2 Western Warrior, 8-1 Yala Enki, 12-1 Affair Donaire, and 14-1 Bar.
Okay, Kills, away you go.
Well, a fascinating point about the top weight I raised in the weekend. Can anybody remember a horse ever going into the Cheltenham Festival, running in and winning a Grade 1, and then coming out the other side and being dropped £3 by the handicapper?
I certainly can't.
Because that's what happened to, you know what I mean, Harry, who had an official mark of 152 going in it, but now runs off 149. It's quite stunning. The handicapper must think the Albert Bartlett was a dreadful race.
What do you think? What's your view? Because I was looking at the form earlier. And I was thinking,
a lot of the ones that were close up have run dreadfully since.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
the handicapper might be right. I mean, I'm certainly not going to say that it's wrong because I don't particularly fancy, you know what I mean, Harry. But the ground has definitely come in his favour because he handles it and he does travel well.
I'm just looking through it, and that race can be not that brilliant, can't it?
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
Okay, so you've got your little who'd have thought it out of the way, and now who are you going to back?
Yeah, well, earlier in the week I went for Ballybowley, and I was hoping that, you know, some of the milder weather forecasts would have been right, but they proved the other way. I won't say he won't definitely act on the ground, but he, you know, most of his best form since he went chasing has been on better ground, so I'm a little bit worried about him. I do like the angle of chasers in this race because the fixed price hurdles are like mini fences. I think 4 of the 11 runners have been won by chasers, and 1 year, I can't remember, I think it was when Grand Cru ran it, the next 6 home were all chasers. And given the ground is the way it is, it wouldn't surprise me if that happened again. And I think the horse that's overpriced now is Cruz Linen, who was third to Cad de Burley last time at Aintree. He's £8 better off for that. Cad de Burley will not like the ground as deep as it's going to be. You know, he's a strong 9-year-old. He's £10 lower over hurdles than he is over fences. I think he's got half a chance each way at 16s.
Cruz Linen for Kills, who for David Jennings?
It's very tricky, Bruce. I marginally prefer Western Warrior. I just think he's relatively lightly raced for a 7-year-old, and I thought his run behind Yala Enki who obviously reopposes in the Lanzarote last year, I thought that was a cracking run given that he hit every bloody hurdle. The day he won at Lingfield last December on heavy ground, it was bottomless conditions altogether, so it was. So if that rain does keep coming, you know he's the one that's going to absolutely love it. It was like a swimming pool that day at Lingfield, and I thought his run behind Golden Diane was quite good in October. It was good ground that day. It was too quick for him. He just couldn't. He was always struggling to hold his place. Daryl Jacob was always niggling away. He's been dropped a pound for that. He's down to 136, and I still think he's quite well handicapped. Brian Hughes obviously is in terrific form. I just think with the way conditions are going, you want to know something will definitely handle the conditions and revel in them. And I think Western Warrior is just that.
Okie doke. What about you, Frankie?
I'm keen on one down the bottom here. Affair Donaire. He was 4th in the Betfair Hurdle last year when, I don't know if you remember the race,
I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, so there's no chance.
He suffered all sorts of trouble at the start that day, and he flew home for 4th in a race where definitely paid to be up at the pace. He ran off a mark of 1:32 that day. His next run was in the Imperial Cup at Sandown of 1:33, when again he was a well-beaten 4th, but still it was a decent enough effort. Harry Whittington has been saying that he needs to step up and trip, and he was hoping for some rain as well this week. He's got his rain. He's been dropped £5 for the Fontwell run last time, over 2 miles, up and trip here and the heavy ground to suit, running off 10.5 and a mark of 1:28. This has got to go well.
You've all made really good cases for your selections. I'm in a bit of a quandary here. What about the Fav Kills, 2 Taff?
Yeah, no, I like 2 Taffs. Backed him when he won at Ayr last year. I think he's obviously progressive. He had nothing to beat on his return. Just showed he's fit. If he stays, he's a player. He might just be a little bit inexperienced for a race of this nature, though.
Yeah, it can be a bit. It's not a huge field, is it?
No. But it's going to be a right old slog.
Unique old test, that, isn't it? Okay, let's go back in time to the 150 at Haydock on Saturday. Only 4 runners, some old favourites here. My Tent or Yours, Old Guard, Chittabello, and Melodic Rendezvous contest this silly new race that shouldn't really exist. It takes the gloss off the one at Ascot. It's just stupid. Yeah. But anyway, it's a decent enough field, I suppose. I guess the Tent is a pretty strong favourite, isn't he, Frank?
He's 10-11, Bruce. Old Guard is 2-1. Chittabello is 7-1. And Melodic Rendezvous is 9-1.
And I believe we've got an offer on this one as well, haven't we? If you sign up for a Paddy Power account through the Racing Post app.
We will give you 6-1. My 10 to yours in free bets, so 60 quid in free bets if my 10 to yours does the business if you sign up to the Racing Post app.
Can't be bad. Blimey, O'Reilly, you're in a generous mood. Kills, what's going to happen here?
Well, it's one of the dullest races of the day, isn't it, really? I mean, you've got 2 horses with no conceivable chance whatsoever. Chittabello, I really like Chittabello, but he was pulled out of the ground because of softish ground at Cheltenham last week. Now, he might well run because he can jog around and pick up 4.5 grand to finish in 4th, and might in any case get ahead of the seriously regressive melodic rendezvous. But neither of those two have got a prayer in hell, and both are in single figures, which is silly. I would imagine my 10 to yours is sort of hovering around the 10 to 11 even money mark. Will get a lot shorter because Old Guard has never really been considered a proper soft ground horse, and he's been chasing, hasn't jumped particularly well. So who knows what he's got left over hurdles.
Well, I mean, using your brutal process of elimination there, Kills, it's beginning to sound like 10 to 11. The 10 is a massive price, isn't it?
Well, he does go well first, and he's got a huge edge on form as well. So I don't see. I don't really see him getting beat now.
If you're a bookmaker, what price would you lay him? What would you chalk him up at?
I'd be shorter than 10 or 11, that's for sure. It'd be more like 4 or 7. In fact, he will be. He will be a lot shorter than that tomorrow.
David Jennings, should we snap up the 10 to 11, my 10 or yours?
Look, Bruce, this is one of these situations where there's a lot of my 10 to yours knockers out there. He's a Marmite character. People love him, people hate him.
Oh, even I don't know about that. No one hates my 10 or yours.
They do. He's a bridle horse.
For being a bridle horse.
Yeah, he's a bridle horse. He doesn't find much off it. But even
all the
if
things
you are
in
the
world
biggest
to hate, and people want to hate my 10 or yours, I don't understand that. But go on.
Yeah, well, my point is, even if you are the biggest my 10 to yours critic, this horse has to win this race. Simple as that. He's 10 to 11. He won first time out in 2011, 2012, 2013. He came back from 2 years off and was second in the Champion Hurdle. Look, the ground is the big issue, obviously, but the day he won the Betfair Hurdle, it was soft ground that day, and it was really soft ground. If you remember, the pictures were blurry. It was a horrible, horrible day that day at Newbury, and he coped pretty well with the conditions. I think it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if I seen my 10 to yours popped out in front in this race, because there's no front runner, and I think they might just let him roll. Nicky Henderson said that he's come back in exceptionally good order. He's got a clean run with him. He's the best horse in the race, and I cannot believe that he's 10 to 11. I think he should be 8 to 15 or 1 to 2.
And also, Kills, I don't think there's a huge amount of rain forecast now, is there? Now, it did look, from what we saw in the first one.
It's not going to improve, is it? I mean, that's the thing.
No, but it might not get absolutely ridiculously
No, but I mean, if it stays dry between now and then, it'll be really sticky as well, won't it? So, you know, it won't get any better one way or the other.
Frank, what do you think punters should do here? Do you agree with the lads that everyone should smash the tent up?
Yeah, like he's more than likely going to win, but you are taking a little bit of chance on the ground. Like, I'm saying that the rest of them, you wouldn't be too confident backing against him either. I think he'd probably win, but okay. I wouldn't be investing myself. Anything
else at Haydock, Kills?
Yeah, there's a couple of interests. There's a staying Chase at 115. I got a couple that I'm interested in there. Chaser Spud goes off very well on heavy ground, has had a run, but the one I like slightly more, I think, is Mr. E for Michael Scudamore. First run for Michael Scudamore. Some good form in soft ground last season. Finished 4th in the Ida Chase. I think Michael Scudamore's run 8 chasers so far this season. 7 of them have won. He's got 25% strike rate overall out of all the runs.
And Richard Johnson riding.
And Richard Johnson riding. And
your dream combo.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I think he'll go well. Yeah, I think he's unexposed, and I think he'll go well.
Mr. E. Okay, right. Thank you. That's Haydock done. Let's look at Ascot.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav in all races at one meeting today and at one meeting every day this month. Max £25 per race. 18 plus. Gambleware.co.uk.
Welcome back, Bruce Millington, Paul Keeley, David Jennings, and from Paddy Power, Frank Hickey. We're looking ahead to Ascot on Saturday, a really, really good quality meeting. We'll start with the 205. It's the Stella Artois 1965 Chase. Again, 7 bloody runners, so each way betting is well and truly nosed up. But some real likeable old sorts here. And take it away, Frank, with a show of Paddy Power betting.
We're 9 to 4 God's Own, 5 to 2 Dodging Bullets, 6 to 1 Kylemore Lock, 13 to 2 Vibrato Van Tat, 8 to 1 Third Intention, and 9 to 1 Bar.
Kills?
Yeah, I like this race.
Should I ask you a question?
Yeah,
who's going to win?
Ask me a question. I don't know. I'm going to take a massive flyer with the outsider Eduard, who's coming off a massive break. The reasons I think this is a race that is just crying out for a shock. We've got horses going up in trip. Dodging Bullets, for instance, he might be very well in at the weights, but he's run at 2.5 miles twice in his life and beaten 1 horse. He didn't look like he was crying out for another 3.5 furlongs at Exeter last time. God's Own does stay 2.5 miles on good ground, but he ran on it once last year against Josh's Hill on soft ground at Kempton, and he just stopped pretty much going to the last. And, according to the going stick, the ground is nearer soft than it is good to soft at Ascot. So I think he might struggle.
The forecast down south isn't too bad, though, Kills.
Yes,
it could dry out a bit,
I know. It could do. It would definitely dry out in the straight, but out around the back, it'll still be on the soft side, I'd have said. Now, Edwardson was really decent form to his name when he was last seen. Obviously, he was fourth in the Ryanair to Uxixandra. Would have been closer if he hadn't belted the last.
Only just got beat by Don Cossa.
He's got some terrific form to his name. He was giving weight to many clouds and getting beaten by him at Carlisle in November 2014. Second in the Betfair Chase, all 2.5 miles, all softish ground. Nicky Richards, very, very rare raider to Ascot.
Have we heard anything from Greystoke?
I haven't heard anything. I don't know. I've not seen any previews, or I don't know if anyone's spoken to him. But his last winner in a chase at Ascot was Monet's Garden in 2010. But he's only had 3 runners in chases there since. And I think the fact that he's bringing him down here for his first start would suggest he's reasonably straight. And he's rated 155 now, but he's been dropped £4 for his absence. And he's getting £10 off the top weight. So if he's at his best, he can win this, and he's 14-1.
I don't care what David or Frank say, I am definitely backing Edward. But, David, if you want to make a case for something else, please fire away.
You might change your mind after this, Bruce, because Edward has been my horse to follow for 3 years in a row. In 2013, 2014, 2015, I gave him as my horse to follow for the season. He's a monster. He's an absolute monster. And I thought after he ran in the Ryanair when he was fourth, I thought last season was his season where he would develop into a Gold Cup horse. He probably might be a little bit of a flat track horse, but he has so much ability. It's funny, before we came on the podcast, I emailed Lee Mottershed, who's in the hot seat today in the office, and I said, is there any quote on Edward from Nicky Richard? And he said, they haven't got one yet, but the minute we get it, I'll fire it on to you. So I haven't got it yet, but if I got positive vibes about Edward, like Paul, he'd be the one for me. If not, I think the only other one that's overpriced is probably Vibrato Valtat, who beat God's Own fair and square in the Holland Gold Cup last year. I don't think he's proved that he doesn't stay 2.5 miles. He went 1.44 in running the last day at Aintree in the Old Rowan. Looked the winner in between the final 2 fences and just got tired. He was second in a Grade 1 behind Clarkham at Aintree. Over 2.5 miles as well. I just think it's that type of race. I think it's quite open. I think Vibrato Valtat is probably worth a shout at whatever he is, 15-2 or 7-1. But I think the best horse in the race is Edward. So if I got positive vibes about Edward, I'd back him.
What do you think, Frank?
The two lads are after swaying my opinion a bit there. I was just looking back at, and Nichols has won it 4 of the last 6 years. He's adamant dodging bullets once a trip these days. I think you can disregard all his runs last year. I think he was never right. They were rushing him back to try and defend the champion chase. Obviously, he wasn't up to it. He had a nice prep. He travelled all right at Exeter before kind of blowing up, I thought. I'd be willing to give him a go at 2.5 or 2 miles 5 until he proves he definitely doesn't stay.
Okay,
but I don't have a strong opinion.
No, fair enough. Carmel Lock Kills.
Yeah, no, listen, if there was another horse in the race, that would be the one I'd back. I mean, you can't ignore a horse that went through last season pretty much unbeaten, just win after win after win. And of course, he beat Outlander fair and square on his final start in Ireland last year on yielding ground when, he probably wants it deeper than that. Now, Outlander would have bolted up in the Clonmel Oil Chase yesterday. So, that is decent. Yeah, he'd have won, yeah. Yeah,
I'm not sure about bolting.
Well, he'd have won. He'd have won. We was 3 lengths ahead, wasn't he? So, I think that's decent form. There's more to come from him, probably, Carmel Lock. Just a little bit worried that Kerry Lee's not had, that much success in the last couple of months. Probably like a lot of trainers, a bit behind with the ground being so fast, and he might be better later in the season.
Okay, let's look at the 240, the Coral Hurdle. 5 runners, so there is the potential for a bit of each-way betting as well. And also, don't forget, Paddy Power are offering money back on your horse finishing second to the Fav at any race at Ascot. So if you do that through the app, you can back one here and take on the Fav, who I believe is Yanworth, Frank.
He is indeed. He's 10-11. Zarkandar is 5-2. Lil Rockefeller is 13-2. Garla Victoire is 10-1, and Court Minstrel is 12-1.
Pick the bones out of that lot, Kills.
Yeah, Yanworth will win, won't he?
Will he?
Yeah, I think he was below form when he ran at Cheltenham last year. There was no disgrace whatsoever to run second to York Hill anyway. But it was at a time, March, April were probably the 2 worst months for Alan King. He went through the early season, and when he won it on trials day, he just absolutely bolted up there, and he looked the real deal. Zarkandar's probably the right second favourite. He may well have won Aintree on his return from a long layoff, unseated at the last. Now, problem with him is this is back to 2 mile, 3.5 furlong, and he's a stayer these days, out and out. So I think it's a bit on the short side for him. Little Rockefeller will probably make it a test, but I don't see him being good enough to give the weight to Yanworth.
And Alan King in the Weekender was saying that the horse is perfectly ready enough to go and show his running, wasn't he? I think they're looking here, they're going to take a look at this race and then decide whether to go down the Stayers Hurdle or the Champion Hurdle route. What would you do, Jimmy?
I don't think this race will tell him very much, to be honest, because he's already won at 2 mile, 5 furlong, hasn't he?
All right, well, what would you do anyway?
I'd be
if you're looking at the Champion Hurdle now, Keels, Willie's going to run one good one and probably a couple of others, isn't he?
The good ones are extraordinarily good.
I know they are, but the way I see it, you're liable to get Annie into the Champion Hurdle, Faheen into the Stayers Hurdle. Which, if you're Yanworth's connections, who do you want to take on?
Well, but you've got that worry about whether Faheen will be as good. If he went the Stayers Hurdle route, you'd have to worry about whether Faheen would be as good, especially after a layoff at 3 miles, as we know he was at 2 miles.
He's won over 3.
I know, but he hasn't won over 3 in championship races.
No.
You know what I mean? So, it's a little bit different, and he's had the layoff, whereas we know how good Annie Power is, and having to give her £7 at 2 mile when your jumping isn't brilliant either. It would be difficult. I mean, we know for a fact that if Annie Power and Faheen weren't around, then Altior would still be over hurdles, wouldn't it?
Very much so. David Jennings, what do you think will happen in the Coral Hurdle?
I think Yanworth will win, Bruce. I think they've thrown away a grade 1 here because I think he'd be a good thing in the fighting fifth. I'm very surprised they're not going down that route. I think they will go down the Champion Hurdle route because there's been so few Champion Hurdle contenders this season. Like, as you said, one of probably Annie Power is going to go down the Champion Hurdle route, but obviously she hasn't been working that well, and obviously Faheen doesn't show up either in the Morgiana. So it's just a division that doesn't have that many outstanding candidates, and Yanworth's worst run of the season last year was in the Neptune, but nothing went right. Barry Garrity went too wide, and he still. I was pretty impressed with what Yanworth did after the last that day, because he still got pretty close to York Hill that day, and I thought it was a fair performance given how much went wrong in the race. I think he's a hell of a horse. I think 10 to 11, like my 10 to yours, who probably has less to beat. I think those two prices will get shorter.
Be interesting if the 9 runners in these two hurdles were up against each other, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who would you fancy? Yanworth or the 10?
Yanworth.
I'd fancy Yanworth. I think he's very good.
Yeah. Who do you think will win this race, Frank?
Oh, Yanworth is a certainty.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Why aren't you shorter?
we will be in a couple of hours if I get away. I just think he's a Champion Hurdle horse. I'm hoping that he travels well and quickens after the last tomorrow, and they go, look, he's going to the Champion Hurdle. So I think the 16 to 1 for the Champion Hurdle is a knock in each way bet at the moment, and I hope to go down that route.
He's got to jump well, though, isn't he, as well? Not just win well, he's got to jump well.
Yeah, I know, agreed. But, like, as you said, everything went wrong for him in the Neptune last year, and he's still only beaten a few lengths by York Hill, who they hold in very high regard. I think if he got soft ground, he could turn that form around. York Hill, no problem, and I don't know. I think he'll easily win tomorrow. The
Yanworth My 10 or Yours double is looking very, very tasty, I've got to say. Right, Paddy Power have also priced up the 3.15 at Ascot. And Vanituri's jolly, I believe, Frank.
He is. He's 5 to 2. Quite by chance is 11 to 2, as is Some Buckle. Sire de Grugy is 6 to 1. Cole March is 7 to 1. Dresden is 8 to 1, and it's 11 to 1 bar.
We'll stick with you for a selection, Frank.
Oh, I have one here.
Oh,
Dresden wins. Simple as that. He won the race last year off £2 higher. He ran okay actually in the Grand Annual last year. He finished 7th off a £5 higher mark. Now, interestingly enough, this race is worth 62.5 grand to the winner, while the Grand Annual is worth 57 grand. So I'm surprised it's only getting 9 runners.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
There should be 20 running in it. Like,
do they actually look at prize money when they make these entries?
I don't think they do.
This is the biggest first prize of the 2 mile handicap chase since 2006.
Goodness
yeah,
gracious.
9 runners.
And like, I would not be shocked if this had been Dresden's aim. He came back and he's had a spin. His handicap mark is brilliant. Like, even with Sire de Grugy carrying top weight, he's only carrying 10.8. I think it's going to be very difficult to beat, and he's an each way price at 8 to 1.
You're sounding very excited about Dresden, I've got to say, Frank. Are you lining up a mega punt here? Well,
to be honest, I priced it up on Monday, and I was like, oh, damn, because we were going up first with it, and I was hoping someone else might go up, so they might rick it, because it's one that could easily been put in 25 to 1, but unfortunately it wasn't. But I still think when you have Vanito, Sire de Grugy, a few more flashy horses than Dresden from more fashionable connections, he could be knocking about at 10 to 1 or even 12 to 1 in the morning. I'm definitely going to be having a good bet on this.
You're going to be betting the wedding on this, aren't you?
Maybe not the wedding, but maybe the first
the
child.
DJ.
The first child's university. The first child's university fund might be going on it.
Cool, it'll be a few quid by the time your kid goes to uni, mate. It's already spiralling, isn't it? Someone who knows the cost of universities because his whiz kid son goes to Oxford is Paul Keeley. Have you worked out who's going to win this one,
yeah, funny enough, I backed Dresden for the Horden Gold Cup, and he ran appallingly. So there'd be a steward's inquiry into improved form if he suddenly comes back to win it. I mean, he might do. He might not have been quite fit enough, and he is now. But I think all roads lead to Vaneteur myself. He's rated 154. He would have been second probably in the Arkle. The Arkle, when a horse wins as easily as Duvan, you start to question the horses that he's beat, but they keep coming out and running really well, don't they? We've got Fox Norton, who's like second favourite for the Champion Chase now, having won twice. ASO would have gone very, very close to winning the Betfair Gold Cup last week if he hadn't cleared the last two.
Would that have helped your finances, Kills?
That would salvage them for sure, yeah. But, he did hang on for a place, so, I mean, it wasn't the worst of weekends. I've had a lot better, obviously. But yes, I think that form's just pretty red hot. And, I've always had a little worry that Vaneteur isn't the heartiest in a battle. But he did look, looking back at Cheltenham, he did seem to be putting it all in that day. And I think off a mark 154... He's one of very few horses that could develop into a Champion Chase prospect this year, and he ought to be winning it.
DJ, you got a view on it?
Yeah, bad news for Paul. Like you said, I think Vanetou is the best horse in the race, and I think there's quite a few you could cross off here, like the likes of Solar Impulse, Croco Bay, Upsilon Bleu. I think it's kind of a race where you can just cross them off. Frank makes a good point for Dresden, who looks like he might have been trained for this race. But I just thought Vanetou, all his novice form stacks up. Even the form against Arzal when he beat him at Doncaster. Even the second when he was disappointing behind Armad at Kempton over Christmas. And he, as Paul said, he would have been second in the Arkle. So I think 154 is decent enough for Vanetou. I was surprised he's not a little bit shorter, given that we can cross off so many of these. So yeah, I'm afraid to say it's the favourite for me, Vanetou.
We never mind that when you two agree. Two good judges. We're now into the bit of the show where you tell us anything else you fancy on Saturday without naming your best bet of the day. So, Kills, over to you.
Yeah, 12.55 at Ascot, single farm payment. I think he ran a really nice race first time up on ground that, his form says was too fast for him. He was third in a novice handicap chase to Fayette County, who ran really well at Cheltenham next time, finished third. The runner-up Churchtown champ absolutely bolted up the other day. I think the form is strong, and single farm payment will like the softer ground.
Such a cute name in it. That I'm amazed it was still available. Single farm payment. I mean, everyone, you all these pets are called single farm payment. It's weird that was still available. DJ, what do you like?
At Ascot, I think that Tales of the Tweed at the bumper, the bottom horse in the bumper from Nicky Henderson's, I think they hold that in quite high regard. I don't think it was a true run on the first day at Kelso. It was very, very keen early and went off favourite that day. By the sounds of things, judging by Nicky's stable tour, I think he's done really well over the summer. Tales of the Tweed. So if he was a price in the morning, I think Tales of the Tweed is worth backing in the Ascot bumper.
I'll do your clerical work. 350, that is, listeners. Okay, David thinks everyone knows when the bumper is, but there you go. Right, Frank, what about you?
Yeah, it's never wise to go against Paul Keeley, but in the 12.55, I really liked Orlac, I think, of Rebecca Curtis.
That was the other one.
It was very eye-catching at Chepstow, probably a bit flattered to be only beaten a neck, but it's only 12 months ago. This was only beaten 2 lengths by Ballyandy in a bumper in Cheltenham. The softer ground here compared to Chepstow definitely played to his strengths, and I think he's going to go close. He has to go close. Whether he'll win or not, I don't know, but he'll go close.
We better have the forecast, Frank, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Frank, what price are you to win money this weekend punting, do you think?
The way the last 2 weekends are going, maybe 2 to 1.
But you sound so confident.
You have to be confident. You have to think the dream is alive.
That's true, mate. That's true. Right, let's get bets of the day.
This will not be beaten.
Paul Keeley.
Yeah, in terms of value, I'm gonna stick my neck out and go for Eduard in the 205 at Ascot, because if he does return back to his best, he'll go very close.
David Jennings.
I often find with this podcast, people just want a winner, and I think my 20 horse is an absolute certainty.
Okay, and Frank.
If you want a winner, the organist will win at Huntingdon, but my best bet of the day, and I'm agreeing with Paul Keeley here. I thought I'd pick this out as kind of from left field, but the 115 Haydock mystery is mightily interesting. I think this will go really close and be a price as well.
Okay, and the organist is in the 105 at Huntingdon. Right, thank you very much. That wraps up Saturday. We're going to take a look at the Sunday action in just a mo.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav in all races at one meeting today and at one meeting every day this month. Max £25 per race, 18 plus, gambleware.co.uk.
Welcome back to the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. It's Bruce Millington, Paul Keeley, David Jennings and Frank Hickey from Paddy Power. Paul Keeley's already broken a record by going, how long have we been going now? Half an hour, and he hasn't vaped yet. That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, it's there, isn't it? I didn't think I was allowed, actually. You should have seen me last week when Ed was here.
I did see you. I did. I watched it. I watched the video of it. And just as Ed's about to, he's sort of clearing his throat and checking everything to get us off and running. And you have a great big vape. You can't see either of you for a great big puff of, is it smoke or steam?
It's water vapour.
It's water vapour. Oh, I see. That's why it's called a vape. Right, OK. The main focus of attention on Sunday is Punchestown. And the 220, the StanJames.com Morgiana Hurdle, where we're expecting to see either Faheen or Annie Power, and at the very least, Vroom Vroom Mag. But unfortunately, they're all, for various reasons, staying in their boxes. So the star attraction is, I suppose, Nichols Canyon, isn't it, Frank? How are Paddy Power betting?
It is. We're 8-11 Nichols Canyon, 11-4 Jars Girl, 7-1 Semper Medici, 8-1 Ivanovic Gorbatov, and 22-1 Simonon.
David Jennings, you've got home advantage, so you can go first. What do you think? First of all, it's disappointing, isn't it, that we haven't got one of the big guns here?
I was just going to say that. I said home advantage, but I'm going to slate the race. It's so disappointing. Once 10 o'clock comes on a Friday and there's a Grade 1 meeting in Ireland, you're just dying to see the decks and what will Willie run? Which one is he going to run? Annie Power or Faheen? And then you hear that none of them are running, and it's just so deflating, really. It really is. And I'd say for Punchestown, I'd say they're devastated because both Annie Power and Faheen are public horses and would have drawn a much bigger crowd. So I actually feel for Punchestown, to be honest. As regards what will win the race, it's very, very boring, but I'd say Nichols Canyon will win it. He won it last year. I think he's won first time out for the last 2 seasons. He obviously goes well fresh. This wasn't plan A, I'd imagine. I'd say that Hatton's Grace was plan A over 2.5 miles in early December at Fairyhouse, but he's £12 clear on official figures. He's rated £12 better than Sampra Medici. Jers Girl is the interesting one, obviously. She was a very good juvenile last season. Couldn't run last week at Navan because of this really rare skin condition, and the stewards didn't let her run. That seems to have cleared up. I'd imagine it doesn't affect her what she can show, but I just can't see her beating Nichols Canyon, to be honest. I'm not a huge lover of Nichols Canyon at all, but it's just process of elimination. I think he'll win.
Okay, Keels, have you got a view on the race?
Yeah, I sort of agree. I mean, he's got the best form by a mile. I mean, look, Racing Post ratings have Jers Girl £15 off, even getting £10, and she's only 11-4. It's not really exciting. I do like her, and I think she really likes soft ground, and she jumped well, and she was a decent filly last year, but it's difficult.
Well, we can play up our My Tent or Yours and Yanworth double and turn it into a treble.
Yeah, we can have a fourfold if you want to go a race earlier and all.
Okay, well, we'll come to that. Frank, have you got a view on this?
Yeah, I think Nichols Canyon wins. Like you think about it, he won it last year with Faheen in the race. If Faheen was running in this, he'd be about 1-8. Jers Girl was really good last year, but I think her best runs were over 2.5 miles. And then with the doubt about the skin condition, yeah, I think this looks a weak race. I think Nichols Canyon will pick it up handy enough.
Okay, the first of 3 really good races on the card is the 110. It's the Ryan's Cleaning Craddockstown Novice Chase, and we've got a real shorty here, haven't we, Frank?
We do. Identity Thief is 1-3. Ordinary World is 7-1. Ball Dark is 15-2. And it's 16-1, both Attribution and Ben Telemar.
Right, if you fancy Identity Thief, just say so very succinctly, David, and we'll move on.
Yep.
Okay, that was very succinct. Keels, can you take on the Fav?
No, he looks superb first time.
And what about you, Frank? Have you got an angle into this?
Back him for the Arkle.
Really?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah? What, beat Altior?
Yeah.
Well,
at the value, he's a value at the moment, I think. But
there wouldn't be much between them on hurdles for him, would there?
And as well, I bet you if you did a bit of digging into how much Henry improves horses for going chasing, if he improves any bit at all, he's going to be a monster. He jumped brilliant the last day. Really excited by him.
Okay, the Gigginstown dominated 145, the Florida Pearl Novice Chase, and Disco heads the market, does he not, Frank?
He is. He's 11-10. At Phil is 11-4. Nambor 9-2. Jetstream Jack 13-2. 16-1 Space Cadet and 50-1 George's Con.
Who do you think is going to win, David Jennings?
This is one of these weekends, Bruce, where I fancy so many short price favourites, so it could be absolute carnage. But look, Disco needs a trip, he needs soft ground, he needs fences. He's got all of them three things in his favour. Noel Mead's horse are running really well. Look, Brian Cooper obviously had the pick of him, a Toy Phil, Nambur, Gigginstown had so many. I think they had 7 of the 11 entries, so they could have picked anything. Their number 1 is Disco. He's a very, very good horse. I remember talking to Noel Mead about him when he was a bumper horse before he even ran, and at that stage he was the apple of his eye, and that's quite a while ago now. He did everything right at Punchestown on his debut over fences last month. I think he's even more in his favour here. It's not a bad race. As of the 3 grade ones, this is probably the one that I'm looking forward to most. Of the 3 graded races, this is the one I'm looking forward to most. 11-10, look, it's short enough, but I think he'll probably win.
Heels, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought, apart from making one really bad mistake, I thought Disco was really impressive, and he looks pretty athletic. He looks like he's going to be a much, much better chaser than he was a hurdler. That's what I feel is, quite a decent horse in his own right too, but I think Disco's the one.
So, of these 4 shorties then that we've got this weekend that we've talked about, My Tent or Yours, Yamworth, Disco and Nichols Canyon, which is the weakest leg of the fourfold there?
Nichols Canyon, probably.
Sorry, I was actually looking at Kills there, but he's on
Twitter.
Twitter. He's on Twitter, sorry.
I was trying
Did
to
we
find
interrupt
out,
you?
I was trying to find out what's been winning while we've been waffling on with missing races, punting opportunities.
I do apologise.
Spoiling my life. No, I think Nichols Canyon's just about the weakest, and of course Disco, it's a novice chase. So anything can happen in a novice chase, can't it? So, one of those two. The two ones in Britain will win.
I never used to remember you doing that to Nick Luck on the morning line when you're on there. Just drifting off.
There's no racing. I drift off all the time, don't you? You've known me for long enough.
I know. David Jennings, what about you? Which of these 4 might let us down? Do you think it's a rock-solid fourfold?
I think, as I said already, I think My Tent or Yours is a certainty, but I think Nichols Canyon is probably the dodgiest, just because he probably, this isn't plan A, and there is a few question marks about him after the run in the States. He's probably the weakest. Disco, obviously, what's
happened? David's gone. He's gone. We've lost David. Right, Frank, are you still with us?
I am.
Okay, and what do you make of Disco's chances? Will he be running scared?
I think he's going to be very difficult to beat, but it's a novice chase. Trois Phil was pretty good up and down Royal. Jetstream Jack, the day he was supposed to run in Cork, he was very heavily supported before becoming a non-runner. He might be a handicap project, but I don't think it's cut and dry. The Disco will definitely win, but he is the most likely winner.
Okay, though. Anything else anywhere in Ireland? We've got a meeting at Cork as well, Frank.
Well, the first at Punchestown. This is a case of I'm just going in again for this. After Rain runs again, he made a
I watched him. Yeah, I watched him. He didn't run very well, did he?
He didn't run very well, but then again, the drifting Betfair would have told you that before he ever ran, that he wasn't expected to do well. I still think he's been dropped another pound. This thing is so well handicapped. It's only a matter of when they push the button, and I'm hoping it's going to be on Sunday.
Okay, so that's the 12:40 after Rain. David, anything else for you, either on the Punchestown undercard or at Cork?
Yeah, there's one I thought that was going very well at Down Royal when he fell in the 250. The Storyteller for Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy. I thought he was travelling really well when he came down at Down Royal. So I think he's interesting. As Frank said in the first race, After Rain is interesting, but so too is Turnover Savola, who Gordon has got from Alan King's. He's probably better handicapped over fences, but I think he is both well handicapped over fences and hurdles. I think he was rated up on 140 once upon a time. He's only 124 over hurdles now. So if there was money for Turnover Savola, I think he is quite interesting in that 1240.
Okay, and Kills, Exeter and Utoxeter.
Yeah, half an interest in the old boy Helium at Exeter in the 225. I think he's been travelling well. He's come down a handicap enough to run in a race this week, and he's probably not quite as good as he was, but Alexander Dunn booked Adrian Heskin, and I think on his best form he'll beat that lot.
It's weird, isn't it, that the two British Sunday cards have both got an X in their name, isn't it? Exeter and Utoxeter. Are there any other race courses with an X? Hexham?
Hexham, yeah, there you go.
Any others? Got to be it, hasn't it?
Got to be it, isn't it?
It has to be it. Okay, well done. Kills, weekend plans.
I've absolutely no idea.
Really?
Absolutely no
You've
idea.
got
what I'm doing
nothing
tomorrow.
planned?
I've got nothing at all planned all weekend. So I don't know what I'll do.
What's
It'll
favourite?
probably end messy.
What do you think's likely to happen then if you've got no plans? Could you go to the club?
Well, I'm likely to go for a drink tonight somewhere.
With colleagues after work?
No, probably go down my local club.
Uh-huh.
And
cards?
Maybe a bit of card action.
Okay.
And
you haven't got any errands to do, no?
I've got no errands. I've got nothing to do whatsoever.
Oh, excellent. It sounds like you're just going to sit there and punt then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
DJ, did you have an emotional reunion with Aoife last week when you got back from Cheltenham?
Yeah, it was pretty emotional, all right, yeah.
Was it?
I'd say she was sick to see me back. Yeah, what's the plans for the week? I'm in Punchestown tomorrow, and then tomorrow night I'm actually out for my birthday dinner that was earlier on in the month, but I was away. So, and then Sunday, I'm off on Sunday, but the Morgiana's on, so I was hoping to go, but Aoife wants to go hiking.
Hiking?
Oh, God.
Oh, my goodness. Where?
Wicklow.
Wicklow, all right. Excellent. Do you like that, getting away from it all?
I do like it, like on a Monday when there's nothing to do, but when the Morgiana's on, I need to get talking to Paul to have a little kind of how to get out of things like this with the missus.
Yeah, you do actually.
You engineer a row the night before.
Oh, no, he always says that, engineer a row. That's not a nice way to get out of it. I think the fact that you went to Cheltenham last week, and I think you need to suck this one up and get your hiking boots on.
Yeah, well, you've already said on numerous occasions that I'm punching above my weight, so you're probably right.
Oh, it's true, isn't it? I can't be the only one who says that. Ugly bastard like you and a nice girl like Aoife. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, you actually are the only one that's ever said it to me.
Well, everyone else thinks it, believe me. Frank Hickey, what are you going to be doing this weekend? Has Jill got plans for you?
I don't think so. I have a hurling match tomorrow, and you know times are tough when they're texting me to come along.
Are you playing or watching?
Hurling in November?
Yeah, it's kind of a league promotion final against Peregrines in Dublin.
Who do you play with?
Nave Olives.
All right, okay.
Like they're kind of like half Dublin lads, half country lads in a hybrid.
What position do you play?
Oh, I won't be starting tomorrow, but I'd play anywhere in the forward line.
And do you have to wear a mask for that?
Oh, you have to wear a helmet, yeah.
Mask.
What?
A mask.
What is a mask, isn't it? A face mask?
Yeah. No,
I'm not talking about a Zorro mask. I'm talking about...
Yeah, we call it helmets, Bruce.
All right, fair enough. A helmet.
Yeah,
with does the helmet have a face mask?
It does.
Thank you.
No, a face guard, not a mask.
Face guard, yeah.
All right,
Depends
jeez.
where you're from. But yeah, so I'm playing that match. Well, going to that match and maybe playing if they're stuck. And afterwards, then I'm off for the rest of the weekend. So there's a good chance I'll be in front of a screen watching the rugby, pointing.
Okay,
Saturday into Sunday morning.
Good. Well, you sound very confident, Frank. I know you've had a couple of setbacks on the punting front the last 2 weekends, but we're backing you to roar back. And also David and Keel sound very confident as well. So hopefully, folks, there's bundles of winners in there for us. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget, if you do like the Racing Post postcasts, do get onto iTunes and subscribe and rate us. And we are back on Monday for the review postcast. So please join us for that.
The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC.